So why I don't play a lot of NES JRPGs, or why I don't... There's barely any videos out there. I think I've done like 2 videos on NES JRPGs out there. So to answer that question, when are you guys getting like a ranking or a tier list or something like that? I don't think it's gonna be possible. I can try and do it for you, but I grew up with the NES. But I grew up with NES games like, you know, the platformers or shoot 'em ups or puzzle games or whatever. You know, I didn't even know what an RPG was. The closest experience I had with an RPG was Zelda 2. Well, the first 2 Zelda games. And I never finished any of them because back then I was a little kid. I was a 7-year-old kid, 5-year-old kid. I didn't know English. And there was no way to play these games in Spanish. So we never got any far in the games. And we had to rely on walkthroughs, or there weren't any walkthroughs online. Internet didn't exist, or wasn't, you know, available for regular people like you and me back then in the 80s and early 90s. So we had to resort to magazines or to friends and, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing in this part? How do you beat this guy? Or they're telling me to go somewhere, but I can't understand. I don't know English, right? So I didn't play any RPGs at all. I didn't know they existed back then. And if I had known they existed back then, I was a little kid, I wouldn't have cared about them precisely because they were in English. And even if they were in Spanish, I probably wouldn't have cared about them. I mean, who plays... I mean, I'm pretty sure there's kids out there who play JRPGs when they're 7 years old. I don't know, I probably, knowing myself, I probably wouldn't have found that interesting. That genre interesting. Maybe when I was 12, which is when I played my first RPG, you know. But when I was 12 years old, it was 1997. Bunch of other systems were out. RPGs were mainstream on the PlayStation 1, so I was kind of more into those consoles. I was still on the SNES. Everybody had a PlayStation 1, and I was still playing the SNES. But I still didn't know what an RPG was. So my point is that I didn't grow up with NES JRPGs, so I have no nostalgia for them. I have a lot of appreciation, but not personal appreciation. It's not that I don't care about them. I mean, NES JRPGs laid the basis for any other JRPG in existence out there, right? They were the first ones, you know, Dragon Warrior, Final Fantasy, or Master System JRPGs like Phantasy Star or Ys, stuff like that. So maybe if I had grown up with them, I would have appreciated them more, but I just didn't. And for me personally, it's hard to go back to them. I've tried going back to them for many years, since I was like 22 years old, and I've never been able to finish a single one of them, because the majority of them, in my opinion, it may not be the same case for you guys, but in my opinion, they're kind of outdated. Very, very dated, and playing them is just not as fun as they may have been back then. I think most of the people who can enjoy NES JRPGs nowadays is because they probably played them back then, or because they just love the heck out of NES gameplay mechanics and graphics and stuff like that. But so yeah, don't expect anytime soon a ranking or a tier list on NES JRPGs, but no promises, but I can try.